good night, good morning to everyone. This is update for May 12, 2022, day 78 of the war, end of the date update. So we're going to start with strategic. As always, it's going to be super short. Today, Russia issued the same kind of threats it issued to Ukraine before the war started to Finland, because Finland decided to join NATO. So it doesn't mean that Finland is going to get attacked by Russia in short order, because Russia is too busy in Ukraine right now to attack anything else. But Finland is clearly on a to-do list with number one priority for Russia. Okay, now let's actually go through the front line in a clockwise fashion, as we always do. We always start with Kharkiv, which is north. And let's see what's going on there first. As a separate note, because it's just general information, Ukrainian army transferred 58th Brigade to this Donbass salient, and specifically to the Severodonetsk salient, which is here. So now it's helping there. So we will see once we get to the actual section of the front. So let's look what's going on here in northeast of Kharkiv. So as we discussed before, yesterday, Ukrainian troops managed to get to the state border here and captured Ternova. It appears they also captured a village called Starytsya. So essentially this section of the border is now in full control of Ukrainian army, and Russian screening troops retreated. What is another interesting point is there was a small reconnaissance unit of Ukrainian army that went to the village of Murom, on the Russian side, and they did not spot Russian troops immediately here. So there is a very big chance that it's kind of like empty. All of this stuff here is really, there is nothing and just air. And there might be Russian troops somewhere like more deeper in the Russian territory. But it looks very, sort of to say, strange. And, there are several sort of thoughts and scenarios with respect to this. But right now, it's just too early to say anything. But it does look empty on superficial level, let's put it this way. And we totally accept that we could be wrong. But from basically base information that we have seen there, it doesn't seem that there is tons of Russian troops here. Actually, there was nothing, because Ukrainian group was able to get into this village and return without any fighting or anything at all. This puts Ukrainian army in very close proximity to important Russian hub, this town Shebekino. This is one of their important logistical hubs in supplying Russian troops in Ukraine, and specifically on Izyum bridgehead, because the route can go either this way through Vovchansk, and now Vovchansk is also under total threat. It's essentially stone. You can throw stone to Vovchansk and can get it. So this really means that the Russian side probably will going to be rerouting its logistics to make it more safer, and probably already did in expectation that this is going to happen. There is this still buffer zone left here. We're pretty sure that Ukrainian side will try to clear it out in the next, several days to a week, unless Russia decides to put stiff resistance here. But based on what we have seen so far, it doesn't seem so. So let's continue then to the next section of the front line. We're gonna go south, and we're gonna look here at the Izyum bridgehead and Lyman bridgeheads that are heavily contested and important part. So let's go back. For those who are new, because there are new people joining, we would like to explain that why this is one of the important sections of the front line. Is there is this, we call it Donbass salient, this whole area, and the Russian army is trying to basically encircle Ukrainian troops in this Donbass salient and obviously destroy them. So the Izyum bridgehead is the attempt to create northern pincer of this encirclement, and then this area here in the south, which we call Zaporizhzhia front line, is another attempt, to create southern pincer of this encirclement. So that's the importance of this section. So let's look here again. The same situation, stable, no major movements, just static fighting, World War One type of situation. This is Russian bridgehead here in Izyum, right? So now let's switch and look at Ukrainian bridgehead. We call it Lyman bridgehead. Again, the same situation here, no progress. Sort of fighting has stalled around this, town of Lyman, which is important sort of place here. Then village of Debro, which is still in Ukrainian hands, and Russian side cannot capture it up until now. Then they were stopped here, a little bit south of. This is actually a village called Alexandrovka here. So they were stopped here, and there's no new progress, and Russian side is stopped here around Drobyshevo and Yarova. So basically, it's a stalemate more or less in this area. Let's keep going, and then we're gonna look at the tip of this Donbas salient, and this is actually on its own. We call it Severodonetsk salient because there is a town called Severodonetsk here, and there's actually 3 towns, forming one big city there. We'll look at that. So now Russian side is trying to, they're not able to make progress with this big Donbas salient, so they're trying to at least cut off this Severodonetsk salient and encircle at least some of Ukrainian troops here, or force them to withdraw to west. So let's have a look what's going on here. So we definitely now confirmed that the Russian pontoon bridge here was destroyed, which obviously we knew it before, but this small unit was also destroyed, and the village of Bilogorivka is in Ukrainian hands. It doesn't mean that Russian side is not trying to, new attempts here. They do try, so they did not give up, so they continue trying. And also there's a strong effort here to do the same thing, to establish bridgehead here near village of Pryvillya, but Russian side did not succeed. Where they did succeed, Russian troops attacked north from Popasna along the road, and they broke through Ukrainian defenses here of 21st Brigade. And now the fighting is happening on outskirts of village of Komyshuvakha. So this is new defensive line on Ukrainian side. And basically over this, we're gonna say 5 or so days, we can see that defensive capabilities of the 24th Brigade diminished significantly. First, it essentially abandoned Popasna, and then the Russian side pretty easily broke through defenses here. So there's clearly something is going on in the 24th Brigade, maybe just totally worn out. We don't know details, but there is something happening with it here. In addition, we would like to mention that Ukrainian side brought in 58th Brigade to help with, destroying these bridgeheads, but it does look that probably as a firefighting unit, it probably will get pulled towards south, because this looks promising for the Russian side, basically, in this area, right? So if northern part is under control at this moment, the southern is definitely looking sort of dangerous for Ukrainian side at this moment. Russian troops also can try to attack village of Toshkivka and Orikhovo. So basically they're trying all areas where they can to see where they can break through defenses. And so far they were not sort of lucky or not capable to break through here in Toshkivka and Orikhovo, because basically fighting is happening for this. So in this village, and it's been going on for probably like 10 or something days here. So there is clearly, they found sort of weakness in Ukrainian defenses here around Popasna, and now they try to exploit it. Another development here is the Russian side fully captured village of Voyevodivka, which was heavily contested, and it changed hands several times. But now it looks like it's firmly in the Russian hands, and they managed actually to capture a few buildings on outskirts of Severodonetsk. So they didn't get into this town, but they clearly the fighting is clearly on outskirts of this town. And what's going on here? This is kind of like big chemical hub for Ukraine. So the Rubizhne was big producer of the explosives for military purposes. So there is a chemical plant here in Rubizhne. Then there is a large producer of fertilizer, urea in Severodonetsk, and it's probably all very connected because you use that, basically components from that fertilizer can be used for production of explosive as well. So it's all that's why they sort of kind of joined at the hip, two places. And then there's a third town. It had one of the biggest refineries in Ukraine somewhere here. So this was kind of like a big chemical refinery hub in Ukraine. Obviously, all of the industry at this point is destroyed here. So it's essentially, there is nothing. It's basically all of this manufacturing capabilities are things of the past at this moment. So let's continue going, and let's just look at the same front line here around Popasna, with a little bit showing how it all goes a little bit south. So you can see here stable. This front line has been stable since the beginning of the wars. Literally just artillery shelling, but there's no really there's no active fighting here. So let's keep going now. And as we discussed, this section, this is the section that's being stable since the beginning of the war. This area where the 30th Brigade is that is being defended by the 30th Brigade here. Now let's look at a situation straight west of Donetsk, where the Russian side is also trying to make progress here, but it's all quiet. I mean, there's no progress. They're not able to break through Ukrainian defenses. And the typical areas where they attack is this around Novobakhmutivka. They're trying to attack Novobakhmutivka. Then they're trying to capture town of Avdiivka, which is important industrial town where there is production of coke for the production, and then it's used as a material for the production of steel. And then there is village of Marinka here that's being attacked all the time, and then Novomikhailivka. So otherwise, all is more or less stable in terms of the front line, right? There is heavy fighting, but there's no changes in the front lines. Now let's now look at the Zaporizhzhia front line, and we're gonna look at their eastern section, and that's more important in terms of, as we discuss, a Russian attempt to encircle Ukrainian troops in Donbas salient. This is where they're trying to build southern pincer, and we will see kind of a little bit of build up of that pincer as we actually zoom into this area. So this is actually their build up of this pincer. This is this wedge that they created about 10 days ago or so. Now this situation has been stabilized and is stable by the by 128th Brigade and Azov Kiev Regiment. So at this point, this situation is stable. The powers are balanced, and unless Russian side is bringing something new, we don't expect new developments here in a near term. So this is the same front line. This is big picture again. This is this wedge that Russian side managed to create about 10 days ago, plus minus. And this is most critical Ukrainian strongholds is Velika Novosilka. Actually here, this is there's another one that's sort of not really Zaporizhzhia front line, but still would like to mention Vuhledar. Then Gulyai-Pole, Orikhiv, and Kamensk. So Ukrainian defenses kind of like created or centered around the strongholds. And Russian is the same way, right? Because there's not enough troops to create contiguous front lines. So for that reason, the fighting is happening around the strongholds and around the major roads. But that doesn't mean that both sides may use just, fields to attack and all that stuff. So, but, when they can, they use sort of more simple ways to attack. Now let's continue. Let's look at the Kherson bridgehead, which has been stable, and we mentioned before several times that the Russian side here is on a strategic defensive. They protecting their initial gains in the gains that they achieved at the beginning of the war, and then this bridgehead allows them to keep the options open for the future advances that they would like to do. And we would like to just point again the immediate objectives here that they have in mind is Kryvyi Rih, which is very big industrial center with the steel production here. And then immediate one is Mykolaiv, which is large port facility. And then Odessa is the biggest prize here. And that's even bigger port facility. There are some other industrial factories there. And then obviously they would like to build a bridge to Transnistria. As well, there is nuclear power plant here in this area. So, this whole area is of big interest for the Russian side. But for now, they just don't have enough forces to expand. And let's look at what's going on. This is very fresh new information. We don't have this might be, turns out, wrong information, but we heard the Ukrainian side attacked here and pushed Russian troops about 10 kilometers to the south. And in addition, what we are seeing, because then there are obviously prisoners of war, that it appears that 155th Brigade is operating, Navy Infantry Brigade, and this brigade is, just want to remind you, this brigade was in Kyiv West Group when there was Russian attack on Kyiv. So, and it had pretty heavy casualties. And so we see that it's operating here, and then 4th Military Camp as well operating here. And the 4th Military Camp, it's essentially Russian brigade that performs function of occupational forces in region of Georgia that Russia occupied. But for obviously it's not the entire brigade here. It's probably half of it or something like that. We don't know the size of this unit. So for that reason, we put them as gray, because it means that they are far from their sort of full strengths. What we also see about 155th Brigade is that it has soldiers that are transferred from 40th Naval Infantry Brigade, which operates actually in Popasna. And let's actually look what's going on there. So the bulk of the brigade is actually operating in Popasna, and that's probably who was attacking towards north, because probably Wagner mercenaries and 57th Brigade of Division are probably pretty exhausted after the storm or assault on Popasna. But basically, it does look that portion of the 40th Brigade was transferred to boost 155th Brigade. So that's kind of situation here. Otherwise, everything else is stable here. There's no essential kind of changes. There is always artillery shelling, rocket attacks and all of that. But there is no sort of formal, just your typical offensives or attacks or whatever you call it. Okay, thanks everyone, and until tomorrow, bye-bye.